Ferrari has just issued an important warning about the risks of recruiting Lewis Hamilton to replace Charles Leclerc in 2025. The team has perfected key aspects of the car the British driver will drive next season. Meanwhile, Fernando Alonso blames Mercedes' wind tunnel for Aston Martin's declining performance. Let's continue the discussion. Emotions ran high among fans and teams alike as the checkered flag waved at the end of the season on the Abu Dhabi circuit, creating an atmosphere of excitement and joy in the Ferrari and Mercedes garages. The moment was the perfect end to a season full of drama and fierce competition. As is well known, the Ferrari team showed an extraordinary performance at the end of the 2024 season, with its two main drivers, Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, managing to secure podium positions. This brilliant performance not only confirmed Ferrari as one of the strongest teams, but also increased the enthusiasm of the fans for the career of Lewis Hamilton, a seven-time world champion, who is now expected to be even more competitive in the 2025 season, especially after his last challenging season with the Mercedes team. Meanwhile, his Ferrari teammate has secured 3 Grand Prix podiums and has competed at the front despite McLaren's pace advantage. Carlos Sainz recorded the best performance of his career at the Mexican Grand Prix. Hamilton, however, has endured a poor season with the German team. Now, heading to his new home in Italy, he appears to be taking a big step towards better competition, amid reports of his anticipated debut and what it would mean to see him in red. A report from Italian outlet Gazzetta dello Sport has revealed more details about Ferrari's preparations for 2025. It claims that Ferrari may have perfected an aspect of next year's car that will particularly please Hamilton. According to the report, the Ferrari driven by the British multi-title world champion already has the floor of the car perfect for the start of the season at the Australian Grand Prix. As is known, the regulations governing the design of Formula One cars have not changed significantly between 2024 and 2025. However, Ferrari team principal Frédéric Vasseur stated that less than 1% of Ferrari's latest car parts will use components from the 2024 car. This will be an evolutionary project, not a revolution, to build next season's car. According to reports, the floor of the 2025 Ferrari car is an evolution of the experimental components used by Leclerc in Qatar. Ferrari engineers are said to have refined this part to create a better dynamic platform, integrated with their latest aerodynamic concept. The importance of the car's balance has been in the spotlight for the past 12 months, rather than just applying as much downforce as possible. If Ferrari can maintain their momentum at the end of the 2024 season, Hamilton and Leclerc have a great chance of becoming the favorites for the title. This season also highlights the importance of mid-season development in Formula One. With a long season, teams have more time and data to make decisions. Teams like Aston Martin and Red Bull have introduced updates that have proven to be more detrimental than beneficial, while McLaren is a perfect example of a team that has almost always been successful with their new components. Ferrari, on the other hand, introduced a major update in Spain that actually set them back a few races. Some argue that an update package may have cost them the title. If Ferrari can avoid such mistakes in 2025, then Hamilton and Leclerc will have a serious chance of breaking the dominance of McLaren and Max Verstappen. However, it won't be all smooth sailing for Ferrari next year, at least according to former Ferrari president Luca di Montezemolo. He warned that signing Lewis Hamilton was a big risk. According to Montezemolo, Hamilton could threaten the position of Charles Leclerc, who has yet to make a significant mark at Ferrari. Montezemolo believes that Ferrari does not have a problem with its drivers. Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc are strong drivers. But the arrival of Hamilton, who is a phenomenon, could raise expectations. Meanwhile, Aston Martin's main problem is its dependence on the Mercedes wind tunnel. According to Fernando Alonso, this limitation is one of the reasons why his team is struggling. However, there is hope as Aston Martin plans to have its own wind tunnel as early as 2025. However, it is no secret that this year has not been easy for the Aston Martin drivers. However, the team has begun to pool resources to plan for a strong comeback next year. Two-time world champion Fernando Alonso has pointed to several problems with the Mercedes wind tunnel, which the team uses to test their cars, as one of the main reasons for the drop in performance. It is clear that building a Formula One car requires an almost infinite number of different components to be assembled to create a fast and competitive vehicle, which means there are many ways in which the development of the car can go wrong. This challenge is even greater for teams that rely on the resources of their competitors. In the case of Aston Martin, for example, the team has ties to the luxury car maker, but does not have the ability to build its own power units or access its own wind tunnel, at least until January 1, 2025. This is a matter of deep concern to Fernando Alonso, who expressed his concerns when asked about what was wrong with Aston Martin on the BBC's Checkered Flag podcast. It's not an easy solution or a simple answer, because if it was, we would have solved it a lot easier than we found it. But I think it's a problem of understanding some of the internal details of the car, he said critically. Alonso also mentioned the wind tunnel, saying that Aston had some wind tunnel issues, which he said Mercedes also experienced last year in developing their car. Our use of the wind tunnel was a bit limited because we were using the Mercedes tunnel, Alonso added. It's hard to argue with the Spaniard's strong statement. Indeed, Mercedes have had problems in the past with their wind tunnel data not matching up with track simulation data. The scale models and simulations produce sensational numbers, explained Mark Hughes in an episode of the Race F1 podcast. Mercedes went into the season confident that they would have a huge advantage. In fact, before the race even started, leaks had suggested just how good the car was. But the reality was very different. It was a time when the team was trying to implement a sidepod-less concept that was radical in the wind tunnel, but a disaster on the track. Mercedes eventually blamed their scale models. One cannot help but wonder if the same thing has happened to Aston Martin. Aston Martin team principal Mike Crack recently gave an interesting interview to Sports Illustrated in which he discussed the obstacles his team faced in making further progress. One factor he mentioned was the wind tunnel, which he felt may have played a role in slowing their progress. However, Crack was adamant that it was not entirely to blame for the team's stagnation. In the same interview, Aston Martin's lead driver Fernando Alonso echoed a similar sentiment. I don't think it's just one source. There are contributions from different aspects, a little bit from the wind tunnel, a little bit from our understanding of the dynamics of the car in the factory. It's a combination of things that we think are contributing to the lack of progress, said Alonso. Amid speculation that Aston Martin may not be able to maintain its position among the top teams by the end of 2025, there is still optimism for the future. Although the coming season will be a great challenge, Aston Martin has reason to be hopeful. From January 1st, they will have full access to their own wind tunnel, meaning they will no longer have to rely on third-party facilities for aerodynamic testing. The move is expected to give a significant boost to the development of their car. In addition, the presence of an extraordinary figure such as Adrian Newey, a world-class designer who is widely regarded as one of the geniuses of modern Formula One, is a huge asset to the team. Newey's experience and intelligence are expected to make a significant positive difference to Aston Martin's performance. He has proven time and again to be a key figure behind the success of previous Formula One cars. However, time will tell if these efforts and strategies will be successful. With all the plans and resources that Aston Martin now has, the big question remains: can they bounce back and compete at the highest level? Personally, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think the arrival of Adrian Newey and technological breakthroughs like the new wind tunnel could be the key to Aston Martin's revival? Please share your views in the comments section below.